You're listening to 101 with Tommie Zam. In episode 66, I sit down with Sarah Banker to talk about music and life. Let's do this. Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
Hi, Tommy. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good, good. Just enjoying life out here in San Diego. You ever been out here?
I have been out to San Diego and it is beautiful. I mean, pretty much all the time, yeah?
Yeah, well, except May and June. I wouldn't come out here May and June. I always tell people if you come to San Diego, skip May and June. They always ask why. And I said, well, because May's gray and June is just bloom. It's just gloomy and it's just awful. But come July and on, you're good.
Okay, cool. I'll come in there in July then.
What part of San Diego did you come visit?
Well, I was younger, so I was probably in my teens when I did that. And we went to the base. My family was military, so we went to the base. So I guess the beach.
Oh, the beaches and stuff like that. You're like the beach, I think it is. That's cool. And so we're gonna go back a little bit. So where'd you grow up at, or where are you originally from?
Well, I was born in Millington, Tennessee, at the naval base, and both my parents were air traffic controllers in the Navy. Cool. So we moved around a lot until like Virginia, Puerto Rico, Texas, and then New Orleans, and then my mom and I stuck in Arizona, and that's pretty much where I grew up since 5th grade, Arizona.
So your parents, I was the same way too. My dad was in the Army, so the only place I got to move to was basically Pensacola, Florida. That's where I actually grew up at, and there's actually, you've probably been there, or your parents probably been to Pensacola because that's a huge Navy place area,
Yes, you've been living that beach life for some time now, huh?
Oh my gosh, too long, I mean, I live here in San Diego on the beach too, so it's kind of, I never go north. I refuse to go north because it's too cold for me. I have to stay in warm climate weather.
I don't blame you. I enjoy, because I'm in Netherlands. I'm in the right in the Rocky Mountains. I'm about 8,200 feet, and our winters are long. probably 7 or 8 months of just cold. The summers are beautiful, right? I mean, it's incredible. But then, but we pay for it in the winter. But I'm into snowboarding, so it's nice. There's a mountain right up the road. So.
Oh, that's right, dude. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think I drive 30 minutes if I want to see snow. I go to Julian and go see snow, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the beach. And it'd be like, literally, one time I went out there. Me and my dog went out there to Julian. It's like 30 minutes away, and it was like 3 feet of snow and probably like 30 degrees, and it was freezing. The whole town shut down. Well, kind of shut down, but people were playing in the snow and all that stuff and everything. And they're like, all right, it's time to go. And then we drive back to the beach, and it's 70 degrees, blue sky, and hot and sunny.
That's nice. I do miss that. I do miss the warmth for sure.
And so go back a little bit. So you were a military family, so you travel a lot. Was that really hard for you to have friends and everything, or was it like easy for you?
Well, because that's all I ever knew was moving somewhere and then leaving. It wasn't hard. Like I didn't find it difficult at all. I mean, I'm sure it was sad, leaving friends. I'd say at Corpus, we stayed there for a couple of years, and I had some good friends. And then, when we moved to New Orleans from there, I still talked to some of them on the phone. But I think I just got used to it, moving around.
Yeah. And then you're a great musician. So how did you get into the music scene? Was it your mom, your dad, or grandparents or something, or?
So I guess music, I was always surrounded with it. My grandfather was a jazz musician in New Orleans. Yeah, he had beautiful voice, just this resonance that was just incredible. Hal Kelly was his name, and he also played trumpet, and he was an incredible trumpet player. So I lived with them for a little while, in my youth, and he was always playing. I mean, he was always learning, and as well, he was playing the trumpet. You know, was really good at that. But then he was like, I want to learn the trumpet, and then he'd pick up the trombone and he upright bass, and you know, he was one of those. So I was surrounded by it, but I got into theater, and I did musical theater, and I really got into singing more so than anything. And I didn't actually learn to play an instrument, which was guitar, until after college.
Okay. And go back to, that was your grandpa that did the music, or your uncle?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather. Okay. So we'll go back to your grandfather. So I mean, that's pretty rad. I mean, like, you know, having a grandfather that's probably a pretty well-known jazz player in New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is like huge for like jazz and for that whole like music scene and everything. Did he ever sneak you into some of the clubs or bars for you to watch him or anything, or no?
No, to be honest, he didn't really like me very much.
Oh, my bad.
So it was just when I lived.
Didn't touch that one.
So, but it was just when we were at home. Like I just saw him. He just had a thirst for knowledge with instruments. You know,
That's awesome.
And then I guess I did play the clarinet in 5th grade when I lived with them. I lived with them in Phoenix, and they said they wanted me to get into something, so I got into band and I played clarinet for a year.
Really? How was that?
It was okay. I liked it, but then I just picked it back up actually a couple of weeks ago because a friend asked me if I played, and I said, no, I don't play. And I was like, wait a minute, I did used to play. I wonder if I could still play. So I went to the local music store and got a clarinet, and I get the gist of it. And I liked it. I did like it, but some things happened in my personal life that just kind of made it that extracurricular activities weren't a priority.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, things like that, you know, things in your personal life does make changes and stuff like that when you're younger and everything. And when you get older, you're like, oh yeah, I used to play the keyboard or something that you remember when you were younger, and then all of a sudden you pick it up like it's like yesterday.
Yeah. And I thought I was joking with I was playing it and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so good at this. Maybe I'm a prodigy. But then I started playing it more, and then they call it like crossing the bridge. And I like made it sound like a crazy blowhorn. It did not work. And I was like, okay, yeah, I still got a lot to learn.
I mean, but also too, I mean, it's pretty rad to have a relative that was well-known musician and stuff like that for some jazz and stuff. So that in a way that inspires you to what you're doing, kind of, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my thirst for wanting to be to better myself in my musicianship comes from him. And then my aunt was she still is in LA. She was a vocalist and a singer.
Really?
Yeah, out there. And she did very well for herself. And then she had her son, and then that just became her main priority.
Was she like in a band, or what kind of music did she perform?
She did solo art. She was a solo artist, and I think it was more of like, you know, this was in the 90s. So I would say that pop 90s vibe, I suppose.
Okay.
And like she did something with Dionne Warwick, you know, just she was making her moves for sure.
Dude, that's rad. I mean, so basically your family was very, you know, musicians. They had a lot of like music in their lives and everything.
Yes, music is definitely a part of if you were going to say any type of art form kind of I guess like infiltrated our family, it would be music for sure.
That's awesome. And did your mom or dad play music too, or no?
No, my dad, no. And my mom, I hear that she had a beautiful voice.
Really?
And yeah. And so I was actually, when I was just in New Orleans recently, I was talking to my aunt, and she said, oh yeah, your mom. She goes, sometimes I hear you sing and it sounds just like your mom, how she was. And my mom doesn't sing very much now, but I did get her to sing harmony with me at a show in Denver one time.
What? Tell me about that. How old?
Well, I had to, her husband was a big catalyst in this. He's like, you know, you got to do it. This is a once in a lifetime thing. And, I just kind of gave her the whole, you don't have to if you don't want to, but just
but
want to let
really
you
you
know,
did.
but you got to do it. And she did it because she's really shy, like I grew up in theater, so I'm used to being on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's a whole nother aspect of performance, is not just being able to sing and play, but to do it in front of people is a whole nother like energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's skill set, we'll say.
Yeah. Did you cry did you have a little tear when she started singing with you?
I did. You know what? When we were in it, because I'm playing and I'm singing, so when I'm in it, like I'm very focused. But when I watched the video back, I did start crying. It
Oh,
was a very sweet moment in time.
well, that's awesome. I mean, you get the chance. How often do you anybody get the chance to sing with their parent who has a great voice? Like
Right.
you.
Yeah, it was very sweet. I'm very grateful that she stepped out of her box for that.
And then she's like, "I retired. I'm not doing it."
Yeah, she mic dropped.
She's like, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, she won't do it again. Like I've asked her a couple other times when we've been in the same town and I have a performance. She's like, "No, I'm good. I've done it. Thank you."
And your parents come visit you all the time? Your family come visit you whenever you perform?
Yeah, well, my mom and my stepdad are very supportive, and so they don't come every time, but they will plan. They come here maybe once or twice a year, but they will plan it around if I have a performance or not, or at least try to. But they have their own life situation, and they have they have grandkids, and my stepdad has 2 daughters as well, so he has to spread out his time evenly.
That's awesome. I mean, to have that backing of your parents or your family to supporting you, you know what I mean? Because to me, that's a very important thing, because that's what motivates you to keep going. To have that support.
You know what? That is so true, Tommie. When I was growing up, my mom, she had some things that she was working out like in her life, and so
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't be as supportive, I guess, as she wanted to. But now as an adult, I feel like I'm a teenager, and I have the most supportive parents in the whole world. They're like, yes, just go out and just go do it. You can do anything. And it is the greatest gift. And so whenever I see parents that are out there supporting their kids and, to follow their dreams, whatever it might be, I just think that is just something that is just priceless.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I am very, very blessed in that.
That's awesome. And I'm going to go back a little bit. So you're, did theater. So how did you get into that?
How did I get into it? Well, my mom saw I was always into, like, I did dance. Dance was my main thing. And so
Were you a modern dancer, ballet, or what?
ballet and modern. And
Okay.
then
I'm envisioning you being that,
yeah, and I really liked it a lot. And then my mom was looking at, and I was in 7th grade, and she had seen an ad in the newspaper for Valley Youth Theater, which is a community theater in Phoenix. And she said, "Hey, there are the auditions. Do you want to go audition?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll go audition." And I got a part in the play, and then it just kind of spiraled from there. And then I just auditioning more, and I got into a theater troupe, and then I got the lead in a play, and then I went to performing arts high school, and I met even now to this day, my mentor. His name is Raymond Schertz. And he was the theater director at this performing arts school. It's called Metropolitan Arts Institute. And I just dove into theater and dance, it was my life.
That's awesome. That's very awesome, because I mean, being in 7th grade, I mean, well, yeah, you were a dancer and everything. And I'm gonna go back to your dancing. So what got you into dancing? I mean, was it like watching, old TV flicks of different movies and stuff like that, or was it like some kind of family experience or a friend or something?
I think I always liked doing things, in like on stage and everything like that. So my mom saw that when I was little. Like, in fact, when she takes to tell this story, where we were at a restaurant with our family, and all of a sudden I'm gone. I'm out of my high chair and I'm just gone. And she's looking all over the place, and she finally sees me up on stage lip syncing to this Italian opera.
No way.
Yeah. And I'm just there, just with the arms out and just pretending that I'm singing and just dancing around. And so I think she kind of picked up that I liked doing that kind of stuff. And so she put me in dance at a young age, maybe like 3 or 4.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got more into it, dancing and everything, and then you by 7th grade that's when you started getting into other things like theater, or did you stop dancing in between?
Yeah, I kind of stopped in between. There the things that were going on in life just kind of made it so those extracurricular activities were no longer a priority. So it wasn't until I got back, so probably when I was 5 to 7th grade,
Mm-hmm.
there was not a lot of that activity. And then theater came in 7th grade.
That's awesome. And so do you remember when your first time, not a competition or whatever for dancing? Do you remember that your actual first time? Were you nervous or anything?
I do remember my recital when I
No
was
way.
maybe.
I got to hear this.
I do. Like I do remember a recital. It just, I had like we were little clowns, and I was a very petite little girl, and just, I do remember that. And just, there's like little clips of it I remember. And I also remember going to hug somebody that I thought was my teacher, but it was a stranger, and being embarrassed. That sticks out. But I do remember those moments, just little glimpses. You know how memories are, where you don't get the whole thing. It's almost like a dream.
Yeah. Yeah. You get those little clips, like little clips of different things you remember. You're like, oh yeah, I remember when I did that when I was like 5 years old or 6 years old. But that's the only thing you remember. You don't remember anything else.
Right? Like how you got there, what the scenario was. It's just this, you were this there.
Yeah. Yeah. I get those a lot. I mean, from my age, I get those a lot. I'm like, man, am I getting way too old to remember my stuff? Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's a lot of life. I mean, if you think about it, old and all that stuff.
I mean, I'm almost 50, so I mean, I lived 50 years, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff. But no, that's pretty cool. I mean, like, where I'm getting at is basically like where you got, because you went from dancing to theater, so that kind of got you more comfortable of being in front of people, right?
Yes. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And that's pretty rad, because I mean, because being, you got your first performance as a dancer, and then you jumped in, you got into theater, and so that kind of like was a walk, like a cake and a, or was it cake and a walk or walk and a cake? I can't remember what the phrase.
Cakewalk?
Yes. I can't remember the phrase, but yeah, it's like that, I mean, it was just like, it was all natural to you. You know what I mean? Like, you were just like, hey, I'm Sarah, so I danced, but I'm gonna do theater, and this is like nothing, dude. I can do this.
I think I really just enjoyed it. Yeah, well, I think I just enjoyed it so much that it didn't wherever I fell short, I was on it to get better.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And I do think it came naturally to me.
That's awesome. So I mean, to you, anything you touch, like for dancing, music, instruments and all that, it's all natural to you. It's like you don't skip a beat. To me, it was what it sounds like.
Well, let's just say I get it. I just understand it. Like, I understand when I see an instrument, give me a second and I'll figure out at least the fundamentals of it.
Wow.
And I think that's what it is that I just get it.
Dude, that's pretty rad.
But to master something, I would still have to practice just as much as anybody else.
So to master, it takes you like what, 2 days?
Forever. I've been playing guitar
oh
my gosh, yeah, I've been playing guitar for freaking, oh gosh, how long? Over 10 years now, and I feel like such a novice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and for some, I think the guitar is, for me, it's just nice because it's portable, and it's the first instrument that I really like connected with with singing and songwriting and whatnot. So I think it's my forever challenge.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I mean, because me, the only thing I learned how to play was keyboard, and I think I did that for a while, but I don't remember what song I can remember. I just looked at the keys and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. I can play this song, and it's only one song, and I'm trying to think what the name of it is, but it'll come to me later. But it was like an '80s song. It was like Sinead O'Connor or something like that. I can't remember, but that's the only thing I can play.
7 hours and 16 days.
Yes, that song. How'd you know that? Are you in my head right now? But yeah, that's the only song I can play on a keyboard. But anything else? Heck no, man, I can't play anything.
But I bet you'd get it. Like if you sat down with it, like I bet you'd get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm if a homie has a guitar, I'll act like I know how to play guitar. You know what I mean? Like I'll it might not sound the greatest, but I mean I'll mess around with it.
Yeah, confidence is everything.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And you probably got that confidence from dancing and theater and stuff. So that built your confidence up, you think?
Yeah, I think, I mean, at this point now, it's just a bunch of little failures that have built it up because I live to tell the tale. This idea where it's like, oh, I'll be so embarrassed. I'll just die of embarrassment. But I keep, I walk away from each one. And I think that's what builds that confidence.
Really? Why? Explain. Why is that?
Well, because it's a challenge. Like every time I make a mistake, I notice the mistake, right? And then I'll go over that over and over and over again. And then the next time will happen, and I'll either hit it or I won't. But I'm not afraid to mess up anymore, because one, most of the time people don't notice, and two, it's we're human beings. Like I have a perfectionist issue. I think a lot of artists do, but I'm really trying to tap into my humanism.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a word, but
hey, it's a word right now. But somebody's going to Google that. Oh, okay. Is Sarah right about this? Let me check this out real quick.
Yeah. So just like getting into we're just people. I don't think we're supposed to be perfect. I think we're just supposed to be us and authentic in whatever it is that we're doing, and that is helping build confidence.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, yes, we are human. We're not, if everything was perfect and we were supposed to be the perfect humans on this earth and or in this world or universe or whatever, it'll be a boring life. You know what I mean?
I think so too. Because then everything there would be nothing to aspire to.
You know what I mean? Like, someone could be like, oh my gosh, I listen to Sarah, her music all the time, and I just caught her messing up. Oh my gosh, she's a human. She's not an AI. She's not a robot. She's real,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, in their mindsets, they think they have to be perfect. They have to be this way. You know what I mean? But you don't have to. It's okay. Like you said, it's okay to mess up. It's okay to might miss a certain word in your song or guitar. Might like string might break or something on your guitar while you're performing or something. That's just natural.
Yeah, it's life.
Yeah.
And we can't control it.
No.
Right. And that's my practice, is just to release that control or desire for control.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also too, it's the best thing is to play it off. That's where, any type of thing you do, musician, any sports or anything, if you make a mistake during performance or anything, the whole thing is about playing it off and acting like it never happened before.
Yeah. That is the fun part of it.
So my next question is, have you ever had an incident like that?
Yeah.
I want to hear that.
Yeah. So the one that comes to mind that was probably the biggest that I really had to play off was I presented at TEDx in 2023.
And how old were you?
35, 36.
Okay.
And so I'm nervous, right? I'm very excited to share this presentation, and it had to do with music, right? So I had my guitar, and so I get up on the big red dot, and then I just
hold
start.
on real quick. Red dot. What do you mean?
Yeah, for TEDx. The TEDx.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So But when you're prepping for it, they say, this is your red dot and you can walk anywhere you want on this red dot, but you can't go outside of it. Right. Like, and it's a big dot, right? So, I mean, you had to be doing cartwheels.
Are you really doing cartwheels on it?
No, you just have to get out of it. I mean, it's a pretty big area. And so, I walk out on stage and I start the presentation. And about 3 minutes into it, right before I start my first song, I look down and I see my 1/4-inch cable that I forgot to plug my guitar into.
Oh no.
Right. And so I look down and I'm still continuing this presentation because, like, you only have so much time, right? And it's it's a curated event, right? So I look down and in my mind, I'm like, dang it. But all I could do is I just kept on talking, and I just bent down as I'm still continuing my presentation and then plugged in the guitar as if it were nothing.
Did anybody like see it? Or
well, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, if you watch it, you can definitely see that that it was probably not a choreographed moment in my presentation.
What were you thinking? Like, what was going through your mind? Like, oh shit, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it was oh shit. Like, how do I? Because what I'm talking about is pretty serious stuff, right? It's really talking about, the whole presentation was about, like, I guess, love on the full spectrum, for the individual, for our relationships and for our community, and then it, and how it can, I guess, radiate out from within those into the world, right?
Yeah.
And yes, that one. And so I wanted to.
I had to play that one real quick.
That was it. That was it. And so I just needed, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so as I'm still talking, I think, okay, so how do I make this look, or at least, keep it so it's fluid, right? Because I didn't want to take away from the message, the fact that I'm having to do a little tech work during the middle of my presentation. But I would say that one was a flop that, maybe people might notice that it wasn't something that was supposed to happen. Maybe they do notice. I don't know.
I don't know. Nobody came up to you afterward. Did anybody come up to you and say anything about it?
Yeah. My husband came up to me. He's like, well, were you supposed to plug in your guitar in the middle of your presentation? No, I wasn't.
You were like, no, it was planned out. Don't worry, honey. It's all planned out. Oh my gosh. I'm picturing all that. You doing all that stuff. I mean, that's crazy, And you probably had a lot more. Do you remember your very first time? Was it ever like, have you ever ever performed when you're first time performing, like, in front of people and stuff? Have you ever got like sweaty hands or nervous or so I know some people I talked to that said, oh man, I threw up before I went on stage my very first time. Have you had any of that incidents on your very first time?
Well, I'm always a little nervous.
Okay.
I know throwing up, but definitely the nerves.
Okay. And what do you get? Well, what's your ritual that you do before you go on stage and play, before, to calm your nerves down and everything? What's your to go through?
So my thing, so my why, right? Like, why I do what I do is because my intention is to bring value into the world. Yeah. And in my opinion, one aspect or one value that I could bring is, like love and inspiration, right? So I ask Source to speak through me. Okay. And then it takes the pressure off.
And that's your mentor, right?
Yeah. Like Source, as in like the universe.
Okay. Got you. Sorry. Apologize.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, the universe can be your mentor too, right?
Yeah, that's why I was like, you're not wrong. Yes, the universe is definitely my mentor as well. Yeah, so I just asked the universe to speak through me, and like whatever the people need to hear, in that moment, to bring it through. And it's just nice because it takes the pressure off. Then it's not me, right? And whatever I flip-blopple, and maybe because someone needed to see somebody flip-blopple, and but keep going. And then that shows that it's okay to mess up.
Yeah. And that's when you get into Sarah's, performance mode. That's when you get all focused and everything, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you go out there and people are just like throwing flowers at you and, oh my gosh, it's yes, we got this. Everybody's like throwing pens out there for you to sign their autographs, and you just like walk away like, whew, I hope they didn't see me. You get nervous there,
Right? Yeah, that's exactly. It's uncanny how you know that.
Hey, I'm a performer too. I'm joking. Well, I mean, I do the same thing. People, when I have my own show. It's called TSM Live Show. It's not a podcast. It's basically a talk show. So, so I got cameras in front of me, right? So it's different. Like I tell a lot of people, it's different when it's about the same because you got to stand in front of like, I don't know, 100 people, 50 people, whatever. You're on tour. You got to go in front of a lot of people and stuff like that and everything. So you do get nervous because you're going to stand out there, and so your mind thinking, "Oh man, I'm going to mess up." Well, it's the same when you're in front of cameras. You know what I mean? Because you got to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do mess up, and we have to do cuts and this and that. But I mean, it's very nerve-wracking because you got to be like a certain way in front of a camera. You know what I mean? You got to like, okay, like me, my example, I'm talking to, let's say if you and me are doing an interview live in person, I got my head thinking, okay, I got to make sure my mouth is closed. It's not open. I'm not looking like I'm catching flies. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff's going in my head. It's like, okay, when should I get my drink? You know what I mean? So it's like a nerve thing. And then once I get done, I'm like, I am done, dude. I am out.
Yeah. That is a lot when you have to be on for so long, when you do have the cameras going on. It's a performance. I mean, it's not just Tommie chilling in his underwear on his couch. You know what I mean? Like it is.
Don't tell anybody that. People, she don't know that.
It's not true.
But no, I mean, it's honestly true. I mean, you probably, after you perform, you probably might take like a day off, just kind of like,
Yeah. It's interesting. I just did the live stream from the Stone Cottage Studios, and I did need a moment just to be and chill after that, for sure.
Because it's nerve-wracking, right?
Yeah, it's just, being on. It's just it takes a lot of energy.
Like what you and me are doing is way easier. You know what I mean? It's way easier than just having a camera in front of you or webcam on you and doing it live where everybody watches you and you're like, oh my gosh, I can see where I can't drink. I can't do anything. If I burp, then they're going to hear that, like what's going on here,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's when it, that whole human thing, humans burp.
Yeah.
What's so funny is that before you came on, and put me and invited me into the studio, I was holding my breath, and I was like,
"Hold on, you were holding your breath?"
Yeah, just naturally, I was just like, "Okay, here we go," and then I just stopped breathing, and I'm like, "Well, it's okay, Sarah. Humans breathe."
So you held your breath, really?
Yeah, like just because, well, it's a little nervous. Like I've never done, I've never really, had the opportunity to chat with you before. And I didn't know what it was going to be like, and so I was just, for the next thing I know, I'm not breathing. I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. Well, humans breathe. That's okay.
I can't call the ambulance over there. You know what I mean? I'm like, Sarah, I have to hit the computer. Sarah, you good? You good?
Right. That's why you couldn't hear me before.
Oh, okay.
I just passed out.
She's out. She's done. But no, it's true. I have to take a day off. People don't understand, like, and also too, I do other things too. So I run a club, a NFL club out here. And so it's like, I'm going to say like 200 plus people show up for my club on Sundays. Right.
Oh, dang.
And I got to be on. When you say you got to be on, I got to be on, dude. Yeah. I got to run around. and make sure everybody's happy and make sure people got seats and doing this. And then I got to go do raffles and then I got to get on the mic and talk to everybody. You know what I mean? So it's like, and this is from like, I'm on the West Coast. So it's like 10 a.m. Like, I get to the bar at 9 a.m. and I'm not done till like the game starts at 10. So I'll be done by like out of there by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and I'm done.
That's a lot. That's a long time.
Yeah. And I go home. People are like, oh, let's go to another bar and go drink. And I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you there. But no, I'm going home and I'm putting my feet on the bed. I'm like relaxing. I'm just like, you know?
Yeah. I think it's important to take that time to decompress.
No, you do. You definitely do. And to the question I was going to say to you is what all that means is you learned that from when you were a kid, from being being dancing and theater, because you learn how to be on, and that, in a way, it kind of helped you out a little bit when you performed your music in front of a lot of people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That it's not, I mean, it is me, right? I'm going up there, I'm singing the songs and I'm there and I'm connecting with people, but there is an aspect of that. It doesn't matter if I really want to or not. I'm, like you said, it's a switch. It's on. Let's go, kind of thing. Even if I'm tired and I don't want to, or I just feel low energy in general, it doesn't matter. And that has definitely helped build the stamina, we'll say, to give me that endurance.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's really awesome. I mean, I personally have a lot of respect for musicians because, I mean, you guys gotta, got so much to do. I mean, you gotta like promote, write music. Got to make sure the guitars and drums or whatever you have with you got to go with the music, and then you got to do the tour dates, and it's a lot of work, and I have so much respect for you guys on that,
Yeah, it's a full on experience for sure. But it's it's like choose your hard, so
yeah.
it's
And have you ever, whenever you like your very first time, do you remember the very first time that you performed your music?
I do. Like I remember my very first paid gig, because I would go to open mics, so
yeah,
I would do that a lot. But I was visiting Arizona, and I went to an open mic. And I was playing a song, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I have a showcase on Friday, which is, 3 days away. It's a 45-minute set. I'll pay you, X amount of money. And I want you to play." I was like, "Okay, cool. I got this." I had ever only played maybe 1 or 2 songs.
Oh no.
In a row. So I had to learn 45 minutes of material. I had to get 45 minutes of material. And and it was so sweet because I grew up in Arizona, right? I was so excited. I reached out to all my friends. I was like, "I got my first gig." I was so excited. This is 10 years ago. And so all of my people showed up. My family, my step family, my friends, my old coworkers, everybody did. And I bombed it.
Really? Tell me about this.
Hard.
Tell me about this.
Well, it was just so, this goes on to the whole, like, there's just so much to it. You got to play, but you got to, when you're playing music, for people, in my opinion, like you want to be able to connect with them while you're playing. And I wasn't there yet. I hadn't gotten to that skill level where I could play and connect with other people. I got into the skill level where I could play and connect with myself. And close my eyes and play. But nobody else was invited to this show.
Nobody else. I'm only doing this one gig.
Yeah.
And you can see me at Speakeasy or whatever, and that's it. And I'm out.
Yeah, it was and my family was so sweet, and my friends, they were like, "You did great," but
but really, really in their head, they're like, "Oh my gosh, she bombed it."
Yeah, and they're like, "Are we sure we want to continue to support her to do this?"
So, did you forget songs or what? What happened? You say you bombed it? Like, what happened?
Well, like, yeah, I forgot notes, playing on the guitar. I hadn't gotten my rhythm. It was just, it was like a very long open mic set for these people.
So you basically answered my other question. Have you ever missed any songs? So you just answered that one.
Yeah. Oh, I missed them. And I mean, some of them were my own songs, and
Really?
I think at that point, I hadn't really cultivated the performance aspect of it, so I let the fact that all these people that I know and love, like, were like right there, and they're like, you can do it. And I just hadn't gotten to that point where I could play and still be present with them.
Yeah.
And
they're saying you can do it with a drink in hand. Yeah, you can do
it. I know.
And afterwards, they're drunk. Like, yeah, you played perfect. You're great.
Thank goodness for those drinks. Yeah, I don't think they have that same memory, but I know because I saw video, and I was really embarrassed. But I think,
Why? Why were you?
Because I messed up so bad. I think that at that point, but it encouraged me to get better, because for me, this is something that I really believe at this point now that it has chosen me. And so there's no getting out of it. So it's either like get better or get used to getting embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to get better.
And that's what in a way you answered my other question. So this is a way to, because you say you're a perfectionist. So you saw this, when you saw the footage and everything from that first gig, that's what's like, all right, I need to get out there and do better. I need to go out there and perform better and remember my words and make sure everything's clicking and stuff like that. So that's why you're so perfectionist, right?
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to put myself through too much embarrassment, like.
And is it hard for you to, like, how do you write your words? Like, how do you come up with your lyrics and everything? Is it you have to sit there and you meditate, or do you like have to go for a jog or something, or what?
They just kind of happen. I mean, the ideas will just kind of happen.
Okay.
And then from there, then the melody will come, and it really just kind of depends. Every situation is different. Sometimes I'm just messing around with the guitar, and I'm like, oh, I like this. And then I just start thinking of, something that I want to say. And then I'll just start saying it just in words, just like almost like spoken word. And then the melody will come. And then then once I get the idea, then I start to craft the song.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, I know what you mean. And so basically this is all memory in your head, right? This is all memories and thoughts in your head so you're not actually writing it down. It's just things that you remember. Is that what I get correct?
Yeah. So they're just things that just kind of pop in my head. And then once I get an idea, then I'll record it on my phone. Right. So that I have that archived, so that when I want to come back to it, then I can remember, the way that I said, something, and sometimes songs are inspired by conversations that I have with my friends or my family.
Really?
Oh yeah. Or that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. That's pretty good, to have that, and also to life's, and growing up in a lifestyle or something happened in your life or something good happened in your life. That's another good way to write songs too, right?
Absolutely. So like my first album, it's an acoustic album. It's called Lately. That one was it was a very cathartic experience, in writing that. Like I had all these songs in me, and I guess the first song started in Portland, and, right after my dad had died. And then I was on this journey. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's interesting because it's like, we all go through something, right? We all have loss in our life, but it doesn't take away the fact that it does hurt. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's where our love came from, because in that situation, some other things were revealed, and I wanted to get angry, but I couldn't. I could not get angry for the life of me. I've been angry before, but usually I get angry over petty things.
Get angry, like, oh my God, my nail just broke. Oh my God, honey, my nail broke. What's going on here? Don't talk to me right now.
Okay? Don't even look at me right now. Yeah.
Don't even talk to me. My nail is broken. Okay, just go. Just go.
Yeah.
Just
So,
go play your video game. Go do whatever you got to do. Just let me be. I'm
but when it
joking. I'm
comes
joking.
to, but when it comes to like human experience, I guess like it is hard for me to get angry at somebody. And so I just kept coming back to this feeling of like love and just understanding that we all have our journeys. Like no one's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and not recent, I mean, over the last, 10 or so years, I really have come to realize that, like for my parents, they weren't perfect, but they're just people. Like, it's not like parents, are the chosen ones who are like, all right, you have proven all these skills and to raise this child, and so now you get to be a parent. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just to give them the fact that they are human beings. They're trying to figure it all out. I mean, I don't have children, so I could only imagine
Oh, I don't have
what
kids either.
that would be
So we're in
like.
the same boat.
Right. I mean, it's like, whoa, how do you do that? and keep them alive and happy and mentally healthy and, and all these different things. And so just kind of giving that situation grace, and then just kind of traveling around and processing that, and, processing a lot of other emotions as well. And so that's what lately was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all kind of past things.
And it was, what I mean, this is what I got. What I'm getting, I might be wrong, but a little bit was about a little bit about your dad, right? Because you got that song "Ghost," and I love that song, by the way.
You do.
Yes, and that what I got from that, it was about somebody visiting you, or feeling somebody next to you. Was that more towards about your dad? Or sorry to touch you on a certain way, but that's what I got after you said your dad passed away, and it clicked in my head. It's like maybe that's what Ghost was about.
So Ghosts is it's interesting because I wrote Ghosts and I was very afraid to sing it, because
Really? Why?
it wasn't about my dad. It was
Okay, I was
about,
wrong.
well, but it's kind of close though. It was about my mom, because my mom was very suicidal when I was younger.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so it was about like releasing trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Ghosts was about. And I remember writing it. I actually went to a songwriting workshop in Nashville, and I was talking with Daryl Scott is the person that hosted this, and he's an incredible songwriter. And I remember talking to him and telling him I was really afraid to say what I really wanted to say, because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he said, like, well, then what are you doing here? You know what I mean? Art is like, art is all about expression and honesty. Right. Yep. And so after that, with my friend Zach, we became friends in that workshop. We wrote this song, and he really helped me with the composition, and it helped me release a lot of things. And to be honest, I used to have really bad night terrors where I would get up in the night and I would be screaming or crying. Even one time I got up and started running for the door. Like that is how like troubled my sleeps were. And after I wrote this song and I sang it for my mom, I don't have any night terrors anymore.
That's awesome. I mean,
right.
Not awesome about
right,
but you know what I mean. That's awesome. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Because what I get from you, and it might be a little off, but what I get from you, you're a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
You live a very spiritual life. Like you look at things, you don't look at things half full. You look at things full, and you believe that things will, the higher up has guide you to where you're at right now. I mean, am I right or wrong or possibility?
Yeah. And it's like all these different elements, when you say the higher up, it's like, and I don't even know what that means, right? Like it's because who knows, like what, I don't know, but it is, I do believe that like source and like the universe and is.
Well, the higher up, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but higher up is basically the universe.
Right.
And I might get yelled at about it, but I mean, it's honestly, you think about it. I mean, higher up is the universe.
That's what I think. And I do believe that we are given our opportunities to grow on a soul level. Each and every one of us, we have our gifts, we have our pursuits, and we have our challenges and our victories. And this is our opportunity to flex, right? To flex our strengths, and wherever we are weak, we can strengthen.
Yep. That's very true, And in a prime example, you love the woods, you love the mountains, and I don't know if it's you feel it, but when you walk barefooted, you feel grounded. You feel like roots are growing inside you and expressing yourself.
Absolutely. Winters are so hard here for me because I can't be barefoot.
Yep. See, how did I know you're a barefooted woman?
I don't know.
How did I know you're a barefoot? Nah, but it's true. It's like me when I go to the ocean, when I go to the beach, I put my feet on the beach sand, and I feel, yes, a cold, but I feel relaxed. And then when I put my feet in the ocean and let the waves wash up on my feet, it's my way of like releasing, the inner side of me, the day, all the negative around you, and just kind of just out in the ocean,
Absolutely. And it's amazing that it's surrounding us, right? Like we have all our resource, our energizing resource is everywhere, right? It's in the desert, it's on the beach, it's in the ocean, it's in the mountains. And I am drawn to nature, even though I grew up in very urban areas and urban and suburban.
But even if you grew up in that, you always grew to nature, right? You always were a nature kid.
You know what? I don't think so. I didn't even go on my first camping trip till I was 25.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I'm very serious. I went to Havasupai Falls with my friends, and I had never really ever went camping. My dad had gotten a cabin at the lake in Minnesota when I was maybe, 8 or 9, like for a weekend or something like that with our family.
But that was nature.
Yeah, that was nature. And I did enjoy that, but I didn't really get into it until, I guess my Saturn return, I suppose. Maybe.
Well, you got to think you got to think about, sorry to interrupt you, but you got to think about it. When you were 8 years old and you went to your first cabin and all that, and that was not like a waking call for you, but it was like something to like open your eyes a little bit. You're like, oh, I like the ocean. Sorry for the ambulance. They drive by you all the time. Not for me, but they just, I live on a big road.
Not just doing a call for.
I don't know if you heard it.
Like, hey, Tommie.
They're like, oh, Tommie's talking to Sarah Banker. Let's go. Get to the house. No, I'm joking. But what I mean is it's not, I won't say it's a wake up call. It was like more like kind of open your eyes a little bit at 8 years old. But from 8 to 25, you think about it, you've been through so much in your life. And you look at it like it's a way, it's a hard life you went through, And then by time 25, you had your first camping trip. You know what I mean? Because you forgot about, I don't want to say you forgot about when you were 8 years old going to the cabin and enjoying the nature and all that, but you actually got to experience it as an adult. You see what I'm saying? So the universe kind of like say, hey, it's time for go camping. You're 25 years old. Go get the tent. You're going to have fun with your friends. And that's when you like realize like you had a wake up call. You're like, oh, I love nature. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that was it for me. Like that trip was a magical trip, and I think nature's magical in general. But it was definitely a welcome home kind of vibe for sure.
Yeah, and that's where and this is where I'm going to get to, and so that's where your music comes from. If you think about it, it comes from nature. Because like you said, you sitting on the porch or sitting outside and you're writing your music and you get your lyrics and, because when I listen to your music, it's very like naturist, very, spiritual. It's very, I'll tell you, one time I listened to your music before we did an interview. I think it was like a week or two. We were supposed to do an interview and I passed out. but your music very like I listened to it. I laid in bed. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna play her music and listen to it, and then we're gonna go do this interview so that way I can know what her music sounds like. I mean, I'd listened to you before, but more into your music, and it relaxed me.
Nice.
Not a bad way, but a good way. It made me relax. You have that voice where you sing, and it's just everybody listens.
I have noticed that. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you found value in it. And it's interesting is that it's a strength, but it's also an insecurity for me, because the popular music right now isn't soothing music, right? No. But this is me, right? And I can't be anything other than me. And so I just think, okay, well, even if it helps just one person, then it's there's a lot of value in that, because we're all so, like, our potential is just so, I guess, powerful, even as just on the individual, just one person, you know what I mean? Because think of one person walking down the street and one person smiles at every single person that they pass by. That's going to leave a mark on them.
Yep.
And that's going to trigger a smile in one, two, and every person that they do. It's kind of almost impossible to not smile when someone smiles at you.
I do that test.
You do?
I test people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like a bad way. So, I'm out in public, and I always want to test people and see how people act. So, I'll see, I'll walk down the street, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'll walk down the street and I see a girl, and first thing she does, and listeners, and you probably notice it too. First thing they do, they don't have their phone on them. They don't have anything on them. First thing they do, they see you or me, they grab their phone and they get on their phone and they walk past you with their own phone. You say, "Oh, have a good day," and they just keep on walking past you.
Yeah, because they don't know any different. You know what I mean? Like
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's because of they're nervous. Like, oh my gosh, there's a guy walking by and I don't know what to do. But there's some people that I do, and it's like they have their phone. I say, "Hey, have a good day," and they're like, "Oh, thank you." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people I'll smile at, like you said, and they just turn their heads. You know what I mean? And I just kind of laugh about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in that situation, it's important to. It's like it's the receiver not knowing how to receive, because we live in a very interesting world, and I think that a lot of the chitter chatter that's out there is like kind of fear-based, and I think it's working for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I will say this: 2025, I have noticed more people smiling,
nice,
and saying, smiling back at me, or I'll tell them, "Hey, I even have a compliment them, even guys and girls, like, "Hey, you look good today," like, "Oh, thank you," it's like, "Yeah, go enjoy yourself," or
nice.
I'll give people high fives, or I joke around with people. I'm like, "Oh yeah, enjoy your day. Don't party too hard. Don't drink too much tequila."
Yeah.
People need to just get out of that bubble that. And I don't mean getting this way, but need to get out of that bubble they're in with their phones and stuff and enjoy life,
Yeah. And, and it's the phones, haven't really been around that long. I think, like, for me, it's, I guess, half of my life, maybe a little bit over half of my life. But think about the people who have had it their entire life.
Yeah.
And they don't even know.
No.
They don't even know how awesome it is outside of it. Because there's no judgment in nature. You know what I mean? Or even just walking around and whatnot. It's like it's a very cool experience. And it's a practice, for me too. I gotta be on the socials for like promoting music and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it is a practice. Be like, all right, girl, get up. You gotta go. Go into your community. Go say hi.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's the same with me too. If I didn't have what I do for 15 years, and I wouldn't have social media, I'd be like, I'm over it, but I have it to promote business. And it's the same with you too, to promote your music, you know what I mean? But half the time I'm like, I'm done. I turn my phone off and I'm like done for the day, you know.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
And you dropped a EP called Into the Heart, correct?
I did, yeah, on Thursday, so a week ago from tomorrow. So yeah, last
Wow,
Thursday.
congratulations! And you had a
Thank
big
you.
party. Tell me about this release party you had.
Yeah, so we did a performance at Stone Cottage Studios. We did a live stream. It's on the YouTube, and it was a really special event. I invited people that had been just a big part of my support system for the live aspect of it, and then for a lot of my listeners are not in the state; they're not in Colorado, so that's why I did the live stream. Is that so
Okay.
I could share that experience with everybody and really just get to the root of what the reason why Into the Heart is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it went really well. Everybody that I got feedback from, I had like people who weren't there texting and just saying, "Oh my gosh," like they felt uplifted. And I mean, that was the whole point, right? But my intention for that was to give love and to inspire people to remember how amazing they are and how anything and everything is possible and available. We just have to believe it and be it. And that's, easier said than done, but it's, it's a practice. That's what we're here to do, in life. So I think it went really well. The feedback of it was just exceptional. And so I had Jeff Franca, who is the producer of the EP. He was on percussion. And then my friend Ben Melius, he played guitar, and he's a beautiful guitar player, and he has a beautiful voice too. He's a solo artist, as well. And he joined in. I was very grateful.
That's awesome. And tell real quick, I got a couple more questions.
Okay.
So how'd you come up with the name of that EP, Into the Heart?
Well, so the song is the second song on the EP. And I felt like of all the songs, for the title, that I feel like that was a title that encompassed every single song that was on there. And the song Into the Heart is all about just our thoughts, right? And so sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I can be having the best day, and then one little splinter of a thought can get into my mind, and it just spreads. And next thing I know, everything is like doom and gloom, and it just really takes me down, and so that, especially as an artist, right, it's an emotional roller coaster. What brings the lows or the highs, and vice versa, or whatever. So it's all really about just like getting out of the head and taking a breath and reminding ourselves that we got this, whatever it is, whatever the individual is pursuing, like we got it, we can do this, let's go, let's get out of our head, let's just start living and just live in our heart. A few years ago, I started this practice of making choices based on love instead of fear, abundance instead of scarcity. So whenever I'm faced with any type of circumstance, I think, okay, am I making this decision? I'll have an initial reaction. I'm like, okay, is that based on fear, or is that based on love? Is that based on my abundance, or is that based on scarcity? And even if I don't want to, I'm like, okay, you got to choose abundance. You got to choose love, and it's been really helpful in my life, and then also in my relationships as well.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. And where can people, get this album at, or this EP at? I mean, what platforms, or do you have a website or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a website, sarahbankermusic.com, and then it's on all of the platforms. So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, YouTube, all the things.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what's your YouTube name?
Sarah Banker Music.
All right, you hear that, guys? Sarah Banker Music, and watch her little live feed that she did last Thursday. And I haven't watched it yet. I will be honest, I haven't watched it, but I will watch it after we get off of this, because I'm kind of curious to see now how it went, and see all the performance and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool and everything. And the last question, what can you say to the upcoming musicians or dancers or theater, or anybody that wants to be where you're at, Sarah?
What would I say?
I got you on that one. Huh?
Yeah, like what would I say? I would say that if it feels good to you, do it. Right? Like if it, no matter what anybody says, because I remember when I pursued this, I had a lot of people. Like there were even people who took bets at my work, who were for how long it would be before I came back.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Yeah. So there's, people, I don't think that people mean to hate on anything. I think they just don't know, and they might be scared for themselves. And so they might just put their projections onto you as an artist, as a performer, as anything you want to do. Mm-hmm. But if you believe it and you love the process of it, because I think that is the most important thing, is just loving doing it, not the accolades that might come from doing it, then freaking go for it. Full send. And, and be open and ready to learn and to adapt and to grow.
You heard that from Sarah Banker. Go for it. Do it. Don't be afraid. Get out there. Just tune out all the negative and the hate, and people are going to do that. Just do it. That's definitely true, right?
Yeah. I mean, what is this life for anyway?
Right.
For living.
Right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. And hey, you have, like I said before, you have a beautiful voice, and it's very spiritual, and it's very smooth. It's not smoothing, but very relaxing.
Smoothing.
I got ice cream. I got ice cream on my head.
On that?
Yes, you can.
TSM Media, Sarah's smoothing.
I had ice cream on my head.
Okay.
And smoothing and ice cream, they mix together.
I get it, man. I get it.
But no, hey, you rock, girl. Like seriously, like keep doing what you're doing, man. And I'm so stoked for you, and I want to say thank you for coming on one-on-one.
Yes, thank you, Tommie. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I love chatting with you, and I hope to come back soon.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you come on the live show and do like a small little interview and perform live, on one season or something,
All right, cool. I'm into it.
All right, cool. Well, enjoy your night. Don't party too hard. Relax a little bit, and take care.
Thanks, Tommie. You too.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Right, bye.
How was it?
It was awesome and so fun.
Oop, hold on. Oh, wait, we didn't end it yet.